Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and in this video we're going to look at the Onyx NX1 versus NX2 and why everyone and their mom needs to buy an NXK. Buy them now. No, seriously, let's dive in. A tale of two consoles. The NX2 from Obsidian Control Systems. I'm going to just pop it open here and try not to knock it off the desk because I've got everything balanced ever so precariously. Nope, we're leaving the screen up. So the NX2, for the longest time, was a great, well-priced, incredible, really good value, middle-of-the-line console. When you looked at it compared to other people's consoles on the market that were in that kind of $10,000 to $15,000 range, the NX2 trounced it. Not only was it less, but it had more features such as the tilting screen, more output, etc. And of course, here at Learn Stage Lighting, we really love the Onyx software and think that it's a really great choice for a lot of our users. Fast forward to last year, 2022, and the NX1 came out and kind of hit the world in droves because it featured motorized faders and the NXK add-on programming part that you just snap on, snap off magnetically, can go on either side. And between the two of these things, you were looking at about half the price of an NX2. Less output, but for a lot of users, it was a better fit. So in this video, I want to talk about, really almost highlight all the downsides of the NX1, because as much as I love the NX1, I think when you compare it to the NX2, you can kind of see where it comes a little bit short, where it is indeed a console that's half the price, right? And why it's not the perfect fit for everyone, and the NX2 still really does have its place, even if I wish it had motorized faders. Some of the pet peeves of the NX1 are that, it has this internal screen, right? And that's kind of the start of some of the pet peeves. So the internal screen is fine, okay? I've done a lot of shows on it. It's kind of small, but you can add a screen via HDMI, plug it in the back, and have a screen in front of you. However, because the internal screen is small and at a higher resolution, all of the console's graphics actually scale up the interface a little bit. And you'll find on the bigger screen, all of the elements are a little bigger than what you're used to on an NX2 or a PC or otherwise, generally. Okay, so you don't fit quite as much on a screen. Again, it's kind of a junior console in the sense that it sits a little bit lower in the range, right? You also, if you like a lot of displays, like most of the time this comes in with either TV and film people, or if you just have it in a permanent situation where it's permanently installed, the fact that the NX2 has this great built-in high-def 15.6-inch display on board, and then you can add two more displays via the outputs on the back, and they can be touch displays, is just a really great win there. Other features. They're both going to come with dust covers, same Obsidian dust covers. They're a great dust cover. Though, on the NX1, just one downside, even though I love this console a lot, it's a great console, is that the dust cover is individual for the NX1, and there's a separate one individual for the NXK, and I think they're across the office there. So they're two separate dust covers. If you keep them together all the time, the dust covers work, they just don't fit like really nice over them. That's kind of a pet peeve thing. It's okay. If you really cared, you could get a friend who's good with sewing to cut the sides of them, stitch them together, and it would probably work great. Desk lamps. The desk lamp on an NX1 is USB. It plugs into the port right here on the top. The kind of cool thing about that is you can move it. So I sometimes put them in these ports on the back here to have it shine on my programming section. Hey, that's cool. Or sometimes I do the left-handed programming because I am a lefty, and I put my NXK over here, which, by the way, like for anybody buying any Onyx console, the NXK is just so cool. To be able to add that on, have this extra programming section, and be able to use it like remotely with a PC, etc., like we did in this video over on the Onyx channel. So that's kind of some advantages and disadvantages. Also on the NX1, you notice there's no Grandmaster, right? So you've got a Grandmaster knob on the NX2 up here, might be slightly out of view, but on the NX1 you don't have a master, so if you want one, You can build one with an inhibited fader in the software, you know, like you do on Hogs, where you don't build it on the Hogs, it's there. But you can set it to fader 1, fader 10, whatever you want. You just lose one of your motorized faders as the master, right? But, of course, being that they're motorized faders, that is a huge advantage. Okay, in terms of the encoder wheels, they tell us that the hardware is the same underneath the hood, but these encoder wheels are a lot smaller. So I can go over to an NX2 encoder wheel, really put my finger anywhere on that encoder, not even in the finger divot. But even the finger divot, my finger fits in the divot fully, and it's really ergonomic, really nice. On the NX1, your finger technically, it doesn't really fit all the way in the finger divot because it's smaller. Turning quickly, your finger falls out of the divot. Again, like, not a deal breaker. You have to consider that the NX1 is half the cost of the NX2. In terms of output, your NX1 is licensed for 8 universes. That's with the Onyx consoles, all of them. That's going to be a processing limitation. That's what the internal processor can do, or rather, what they're limiting it to, so that they can keep this console on the market and supported with current software as long as possible. So that's something to be aware of as well, whereas the NX2 has 64 universes unlocked all day long. Go get them. You know, you also, with the NX2, get a free Capture Solo Visualizer license, okay? Totally free, included with the console. So if you subtract that from the price, that brings them closer together, right? Encoder-wise as well, you know, with the NXK alongside the NX1, you do get these 4 additional tiny encoders. But on an NX2, there's 4 encoders on the side of your screen. Do I like one particularly more than the other? No. They're both really good options. They're different, but they're both good options. They do both function in the software in the same place on the side of the screen. So in that regard, the NX2 is a little bit smoother as to just getting used to it and being like, oh, there it says on the screen intensity, and I touch right next to it and it's intensity, as opposed to, oh, it says on the side of the screen here on the NX1 it says intensity, right? It's not on right now. And that means it's, you know, number 2. Okay, line that up. You know, it's not bad. It's just not quite as quick, right? So all in all, you know, NX2 versus NX1, it's a really fair fight. Honestly, it's more fair than I thought it was going to be when the NX1 first came out. But the more time I've spent with it, the more time dialoguing with other people, you know, talking to people and getting their preferences and whatnot, you know, the NX1 doesn't win every time. I like it. It wins a lot. One other thing, actually, that I just paid attention to is the function keys. So, your NX1, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 function keys. There are 8 function keys across the top of the NX2. On the NX2, however, those function keys are locked to the actual console function keys inside the software. On the NX1, they're able to be playbacks, F keys, or my favorite, bass and effects programming parameters, kind of in a hybrid way, taking the spot of the small LCD in the programming section. Between the small LCD and the encoder wheels on the top of the screen, if you do a lot of programming, you don't highly value motorized faders, you probably should look at the NX2, especially if you need more output, or you think you're going to go over 8 universes. I mean, things like, you know, these pixel strips that I have in my studio, we love these darn things, but those strips put my rig in here over the 8 universes that the NX1 can do, right? So that's a consideration. That's something to think about. All in all, the NX2 is also a great console, and if you need the output, but you want, you know, and you're like, hey, I need the output, or maybe I don't need the output, but I want the better programming controls because I do a lot of programming, and maybe you want motorized faders, just add an NXP on there. You know, head over to Learn Stage Lighting Gear, add both of them to your cart, add cart to quote request, I believe it says. You hit that button instead of checkout, fill out some info, we'll get back to you with a quote and bundle it together and include some training in Learn Stage Lighting Labs as well. So if that sounds good, if you like this video and you said, okay, that really turned on the lights for me, help me compare these 2 consoles, then hey, we would love to help you. We are your Onyx dealer over at Learn Stage Lighting Gear. We help so many people with Onyx solutions, and we want to become the #1 Onyx dealer in the world anyways. So can you help us do that? If you can, if you're looking for a new console and you've gained something from Learn Stage Lighting videos, please do buy from us. We would really appreciate it. We want to get you a fair, personalized price and just be able to give you the help you need and support it with that training like no other dealer can. If that sounds good, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.